My name is Amanda Kruger, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the Fall 2010 Friday Forum lecture series entitled Dereconstructing the American Dream. Today's lecture is entitled Reading the Illinois Economy with our guest speaker, Geoffrey Hewings. Before introducing the head table, I would like to inform you of the following. I invite you to take a look at the announcements on the tables and on your seats for a complete series schedule for the Friday Forum and Know Your University programs. Next week, on Monday, October 4th, we will begin our first reading discussion series entitled Faith and Food Justice with Brian Sauter of Faith in Place. The discussion takes place at 7 p.m. in the chapel on the second floor of the Y building. On Tuesday, October 5th at noon in Latzer Hall, we will have Suhail Barrow, Chair of the Student Sustainability Committee, discussing student efforts towards building a sustainable campus. On Thursday, October 7th at 5:30 p.m., we will continue our Global Lens art film series with the film The Cloud. And on next Friday at noon, Friday Forum will host visiting professor Jeffrey Crump from the University of Minnesota, and he will analyze the racial and spatial dynamics of mortgage lending and foreclosure in U.S. cities that has led up to the current housing crisis. We hope you are able to join us for the upcoming events. We would like to thank our series co-sponsors for financially supporting this program. A list of these campus and community organizations are found on our series postcard. We thank them for their consistent support. Sign language interpreters are available for any speaker in this series if the YMCA is contacted before 3 p.m. on the Tuesday prior to the Friday lecture. If you have any questions, contact our front desk at 337-1500. Friday Forum is rebroadcast on WEFT 90.1 Community Radio on Mondays from 6 to 7 p.m. For this reason, we ask if you have questions and comments to speak clearly into the microphone. And if you would like to order an audio and/or visual copy of today's talk, please contact the Y front desk. After the presentation, we will begin our question and answer period using the remote microphone to field questions. Please wait to ask your questions until you have been given the microphone because of the radio rebroadcast. If you need to leave during the presentation, please feel free to discreetly slip out. At this time, I would like to introduce the people at our head table. We have Walter McMahon, Professor Emeritus of Economics, Mike Doyle, Executive Director of the University YMCA, and Kevin Williams, PhD candidate at University of Minnesota, studying applied microeconomics, and he's also a University Y alumni. Now, I'd like to invite Walt McMahon to introduce our guest speaker. Thank you, Walt.
Thank you. Well, I'm very pleased to introduce Geoff Hewings. I know Geoff best as interim head of the economics department, but he has various other hats. He is also the head of the Regional Economics Applications Laboratory. And that is not the end. He has joint appointments and is also an active professor in the departments of Geography, Agricultural and Consumer Economics, Urban and Regional Planning, and the Institute of Government and Public Affairs. And he is a principal affiliate scientist in the Illinois State Water Survey. So Geoff received his master's and doctoral degrees from the University of Washington in Seattle. He's held appointments in Australia, Israel, China, Japan, Korea, and Chile, among others. He is a fellow of the Western Regional Science Association and International Input-Output Association, and the current president for 2010 through 2012. Is that a 2-year sentence? It sounds like it. Professor Hewings' main research is in the field of urban and regional analysis, especially the development and application of large-scale models. His recent interests have been modeling changes in national and regional economies associated with the development of free trade agreements. In Chicago, he's conducted a variety of impact analyses, as well as studied the interdependencies among the subregions and metropolitan economy of the Chicago region. His current work focuses on the role of interstate trade among the states of the Midwest and impacts of aging, and in part on impacts of aging and of in and out migration on the Chicago economy through 2050. So I'm very pleased, and we all should be, to welcome Geoffrey Hewings.
Thank you very. Can you hear me? Does this work? Is this any better? How about that? Is that working now? Okay, terrific, thank you. I can't stand to be behind a podium. I feel like I'm preaching. And at the end of today, you may think that's exactly what I've been doing. My role this afternoon is to sort of set you up for the football game tomorrow by depressing you about the state's economy, so that whatever happens tomorrow, no matter how bad the defeat, it's going to still look better than what I'm about to say. And I think the bottom line of my message is that the state of Illinois, particularly our legislative leaders, are in a state of denial. And I have been here for 3.5 decades. I have been monitoring this economy throughout that period. And it is no doubt that this is by far the worst that I have seen it. But the real problem is that it would be very unfair to suggest that this is a recent phenomenon. It's very, very clear that what has happened right now has been an accumulation of neglect and basically avoidance behavior over a long, long period of time. And furthermore, it's bipartisan. This is not a Republican problem. It is not a Democratic problem. It's a legislative problem. And so what I'd like to do is to go through some of the analyses that I think will make you not very happy. I apologize for that, but I think it's time that the citizens of our state were fully appraised of the depth of the problems that we have right now and the real difficult choices that we're likely to have to make over the next decade. Not over the next several years, over the next decade. Because I think in one of the slides I will show you that our recovery is not going to be a 1 or 2 year phenomenon. It's going to be a decade-long phenomenon. But let me just do a little bit of proselytizing. Walt very kindly mentioned that I was director of something called the Regional Economics Applications Lab. It's been running now for 21 years. And one of the things that we try to do is provide some analytical sophistication to public policy decision-making by providing forecasts of state economies, Chicago metropolitan style economy,